सूत्रधार जो हम बोलते हैं यू नो इन थिएटर एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, सूत्रधार वो होता है जो ऑडियंस को और कहानी को एक साथ जोड़ता है.
Yes.
वही एक स्पोर्ट्स प्रेजेंटर है. यहाँ पे जो कहानी है वो है स्पोर्ट, यहाँ पे जो ऑडियंस है वो हमारे स्पोर्ट्स फैंस, और हम सूत्रधार हैं. ये कड़ी हैं जो कि इस चीज़ को जोड़ते हैं. I think I have learned a lot of life lessons following Virat Kohli's journey very, very closely. I think I have really, really sort of, I really call him the modern day monk.
Oh,
He really is. You know, as broadcasters, we always want to be for Team India. We
Yeah.
play for Team India.
Yes,
We
of
don't
course.
play against Team India across sports. The support has been impeccable. What I think should change is that even today, for a women's sport, men are supporting it. Audience में लड़के ज़्यादा होते हैं.
Yeah.
So I want more women to come and sort of support a women's sport. It has made a beautiful reputation for herself across sports, not just sports. I don't think I've met a single person who says anything against her. I really don't think, and more so not just because of the wonderful broadcaster she is, but more importantly, she has built a reputation around being one of the best to work with, and she has been very inspiring for me.
Hi, Ridhima. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Rajat. Thanks for having me, actually. Pleasure.
So, Ridhima, you have been into sports presenting for a longer of the time, you know. How has that journey been? How did you choose sports presenting as a career?
You know, a lot of people actually ask me this question, but most sports presenters will tell you this, that the career chose me rather than me choosing a career, because there are certain professions in our country where there is not a path laid out to sort of traverse it.
Yeah.
And I think sports presenting is one of those careers. But I got really fortunate. It was a perfect blend of, you know, wanting to be on television, being able to speak your mind out, and yet having an academic bent of mind. And I think that is what is sports for you. It's an amalgamation of that, you know, beyond the field. So yeah, it just happened by chance.
So, how has your road to the, you know, to the elite been like?
It has been really, really nice. I have been, I think I've been God's favorite child like that, if you truly ask me. Initial part was a struggle when you went on to audition for some of the biggest broadcasters in the country. It was Star Sports back then. I had just finished my engineering and I was working for, you know, a company which was into power management. I was coding transmissions to automate trucks in the US. That was my core job. I left that because I was not getting along with my boss. And then when I left it, I went ahead to sort of apply for GMAT. Like I started preparing for GMAT. I gave GMAT, started applying for universities abroad. And meanwhile, started looking for a job as well, as because, you know, the process is long. So I went to this guy and he said that, yeah, I'll give you a job, but I think I like your voice and I'm hosting this cricket league for all the builders at the Pune club, and will you voice it? And I said, yeah, sure. The money was decent and I was like, okay, yeah, one-time gig. I'm anyway not doing anything at home. So I went there and my mom was an avid cricket fan. So I called up my mother to get every lowdown on cricket. Went there, they liked the job I did, and they said, why don't you host the entire league that's coming in Feb? I was like, okay, that's great. This is actually giving me as much money as I was earning working for the company, and this is only for 7 days. And I can keep preparing for GMAT and my universities. And I started doing the league. I asked Mehman, the ace journalist, the sports journalist was there, and he said that I should go audition at Star Sports. I went for an audition. I got rejected 4 times. And one night, when I was just about to press the button to sort of apply for the Penn State University, I gave a last text to the then talent manager there at Star. His name was Mervyn D'Souza. And he said, come tomorrow for hockey, kabaddi, 3 more sports, he said. हम इंजीनियर हैं, हमको तो वैसे भी लास्ट मिनट पढ़ने की आदत है. सो लास्ट मिनट जो भी प्रेप था वो किया मैंने, स्पोर्ट्स के बारे में जो नॉलेज होना था वो लिया. Went in audition, they put me in a 1 week workshop and they selected me for hockey. And that's how the journey started. Like hockey, uske baad kabaddi, then basketball, then Olympics and Asian Games and all of that, yeah.
Oh, which is your favorite sports?
You know, after having done a plethora of sports, I will say that something that I had the chance of witnessing live was 2018 Asian Games track and field. I first time sort of saw track and field events live, and I fell in love with that. I truly, truly fell in love with that 10 seconds of adrenaline. So if you truly ask me, I love watching track and field.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, Who's your favorite athlete?
Very tough to answer that. Every
Yeah.
genre has its
Yes.
own, superstar. But I think I have learned a lot of life lessons following Virat Kohli's journey very, very closely. I think I have really, really I really call him the modern day monk.
Oh,
He really is.
there is a sport called chess boxing. Have you heard about it?
Interestingly, I have actually just come to know a lot of
Yeah.
detail about it because Sneha was right there on your, it was happening right before this. And when I was hosting the Olympics, I'd heard about it. People were talking about it, and I just couldn't get my mind around it. Like, how do you do it? I had no clue.
So, there are a lot of sports that is coming up. Like, what is the role of a sports presenter? I have personally believed that as a sports presenter, you actually get the audience glued even before the game. So, what is your take on that? Like,
So while you get the audience glued
Yeah.
to it, there is a huge bridge that needs to be filled in between people who've actually played the sport versus people who consume the sport.
consume this.
Right? When you've not played it, you do not know the nitty gritties of it. You do not know how technical it is. But people who played it are too technical about it. So a sports presenter is the one who bridges that gap. You have the knowledge, but it's just enough to ask the right questions to take out more knowledge so that you can give it to people who are just consuming it for the thrill of it, as fans of the athlete, as people who just want to know the sport better, or whatever it is driving you. So सूत्रधार जो हम बोलते हैं, in theater and all of that, सूत्रधार वो होता है जो audience को और कहानी को एक साथ जोड़ता है.
Yeah.
वही एक स्पोर्ट्स प्रेजेंटर है. यहाँ पे जो कहानी है वो है स्पोर्ट, यहाँ पे जो ऑडियंस है वो हमारे स्पोर्ट्स फैंस, और हम सूत्रधार हैं. ये कड़ी हैं जो कि इस चीज को जोड़ते हैं. Yeah.
But this is good for cricket, for sports that is, very much known to the audience. And how is it, when Kabaddi came, okay, people knew about Kabaddi, but people were very shocked to see Pro Kabaddi League coming in. Something like a chess boxing coming in. So how do you see an e-gaming coming in? So these are some things that, not everybody is aware. Probably some people are aware and not. So how do you engage that to the audience? Like, because you get expert, you have the expert at your end, but the audience who's not very
Completely
familiar
new.
with,
Yeah.
completely new. How do you, try to mellow down things and, try to give those technical aspects in a very,
You basically start from the basics.
Yeah.
So I have had the opportunity of hosting a few sports where the audience is completely new to it. I recently did chess. Now, if you ask me how do you present chess to an audience that has never played chess, right? They're sitting there. What do you do? So here I had, I had done my own research. I started playing chess. I also had a coach. So now what that coach helped me to understand is that when you're just starting off with chess, my rating on chess.com is that of a beginner. It's 700 something. I've just gotten better. So what that coach told me is some nuances that I needed to know to get from one rating to another. Now as a presenter, it really helped me. But what it gave me is that ये सारे सवाल उन लोगों के पास भी होंगे जिन्होंने कभी वो स्पोर्ट खेला नहीं है.
Yeah.
राइट तो एक एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको देती हूँ. इंडिया चेस मास्टर्स में होस्ट कर रही थी, फाइनल्स चल रहा था, 10 मिनट्स का गेम था. सो मेरे साथ एक एक्सपर्ट थे. वो एक्सपर्ट तो वो नॉलेज लाएंगे जो उनको सदियों से आता है, वो स्पोर्ट बहुत अच्छे लेवल पे खेल चुके हैं. मैं वो इंसान हूँ जो अभी जस्ट शुरू कर रहा है खेलना, और फिर ऑडियंस ये है जिसको समझ नहीं आ रहा. करेक्ट. तो सबसे पहले तो आप इस चीज़ से शुरुआत करें कि से मैंने बोला कि पॉन हैज़ मूव्ड E4. You have to sort of kind of, I won't say dumb it down, but sort of explain a little more that you can see the pawn has moved E4 and वहाँ पे A, B, C, D, E, F जो भी है लिखा हुआ है. But things like questions like, he's, the opponent has intentionally tried to get a double pawn.
Yeah.
This is what the expert said. Now, interestingly, my coach had told me the reason why you should avoid a double pawn. So
Yeah.
I actually brought that up. I said, see, you've mentioned a double pawn. If you could just explain it to our audience, double pawn किस तरीके से आपको तकलीफ दे सकता है end game में. So then he went on to explain it. So the way to do it is to be asking the right questions for an audience that probably knows the sport, for an audience that doesn't know the sport, for an audience that knows it at a certain level.
Yeah.
You have to be catering to all three. So that's how you introduce a sport to a new audience.
Oh.
In cricket, we don't have to go like, okay, चौका कैसा होता है, छक्का कैसा होता है, wide क्या होता है, no ball क्या होता है. You don't have to do all of that because we are a cricket frenzy nation.
Yeah.
So you ask better questions there because the average knowledge of a person around cricket is a lot more. Even if a person who's not watching ball to ball, कहीं ना कहीं से तो आपने सुना है. But
Yeah.
other sports, you have to ask basic questions.
So you also hosted Women's Premier League.
Correct, yeah.
Did you host both of the events?
Yeah,
One
both,
and
both,
two?
yeah.
So how has the reaction of the audience been? Because women in cricket was, slightly not that big, but after, Women's Premier League and players like Harmanpreet Kaur, Smriti Mandhana, they have taken it to the next level. So how has that experience been?
Fantastic. Actually, WPL, if you truly ask me, is a spectacle. Well, the last time I hosted it, the first time I hosted it, the first season was happening at Diva Patil and CCI. It was happening at Brabant Stadium as well as it was happening at Diva Patil. This time we moved around. We had some games in Bombay and Bangalore and Delhi. Not Bombay, Delhi and Bangalore is what we had. I kid you not, Chinnaswamy was full, and the reaction that Smriti Mandhana got in Chinnaswamy was as good as what Verat Koh gets when he walks on to, sort of for the toss. So it was, my eyes had watered to see that kind of engagement that the audience had for a woman who's walking into, in Chinnaswamy for the first time. They're representing RCB in the color of, gold, blue and red, and she's going out for the toss, and the whole stadium went on cheering for Smriti and RCB. And it was truly, truly good to see that because the support has been impeccable. What I think should change is that even today, for a women's sport, men are supporting it. Audience में लड़के ज़्यादा होते हैं.
Yeah.
So I want more women to come and sort of support a women's sport. Men just love cricket. They will want to watch whether it's a woman playing or a man playing. They don't care. They'll come and watch the sport. But I want for women's sport at least लड़कियाँ ज़्यादा हैं. That ratio should change a tad bit. Yeah.
Yeah, surely it will in the coming days.
Yeah.
So again, moving on from cricket, we have seen you. If I'm not wrong, you were the part of the 2019 Cricket World Cup team
Correct.
as well.
Yeah.
Did you see
Not the Cricket World Cup team.
No,
I was
not the
in
cricket.
play.
No, yeah.
yeah.
But
yeah.
broadcasting
Yeah,
side.
broadcasting side. Yeah.
Did you see the MS Dhoni run out?
Yeah, I did. I
And-
was pretty much there when it happened. I remember it was India, New Zealand, Martin Guptill.
Yes.
I was working with ICC. I was their digital presenter, and ICC came up with the best, I think, post at that time. They called Martin Guptill the Terminator. Because Martin Guptill, by the way, kid you not, if you don't remember that series, that World Cup, ODI World Cup, was not in form. And he got in form with that run out just when MS Dhoni was running between the wickets, and of course it was a very crucial wicket for us that changed the game and we were out. So yeah, I remember that.
You interact with a lot of sports people. You interact with a lot of players, post match as well. So do you really ask them, certain things if there is something that has gone wrong during that match, or
Yeah.
take their perspective, because that could be an off-camera thing, but do you really do thing?
What sports really teaches you is also empathy.
Yeah.
अगर आपका दिन बुरा चल रहा है
हाँ.
और मैं आपसे आके उसी के बारे में पूछूं,
Yes,
आप मुझे बोलेंगे यार पागल होगी क्या? You will get angry at me.
Yes.
I am not a journalist.
Yeah.
I am a sports fan, a sports presenter, and my whole ideology around sports is that I resonate with it and I resonate with the athletes. I wouldn't pick a moment like that to ask him about what went wrong. Probably some other time where he's calmed down, where he's cooled down,
Yes.
and probably ask it in a way that what was the lesson you learned out of it, rather than kya hoya. I don't think that is the way to approach people.
True. So this brings to me, so for a youth, okay, who wants to get into sports presenting, how is that journey? What is that needs to be kept in mind? Is it the dialogue delivery? Is it the knowledge and depth of the sport? And what is it like? How do you put that across?
So I will really, really sort of, because a lot of people ask me this, my emails get filled in that, what do you have to do to become a sports presenter? Now, please ask yourself whether you want to be a cricket presenter or you want to be a sports presenter. Number one.
Yeah.
Right? Secondly, you should really know that sport well. In general, you should be a person who loves sport so that the natural flow of things is quite there. Now, one of the things that happened to me when I got into sports presenting is that I wasn't an avid sports follower. So I had to really work my way to sort of really, first of all, fall in love with sports, and which happened, and now it's natural. But I was doing a lot of sports. So I had to consume a lot of sports and, sort of fall in love with each sport and change my entire dialogue delivery around it. But when you're wanting to be a sports presenter, you have to look at yourself as an actor who's real time. There is
Oh,
no cut, there is no take, there is no retake, there's no touch up, there is nothing. Nobody's writing a script for you. It's you, it's your knowledge, and you're supposed to deliver a dialogue that the audience is engaged and at the same time know the numbers, the stats. There are 10 producers talking to you in your ear while you're making a conversation. It is the most dynamic profession you'll be in. So, number one, know the sport because then that is taken care of. Number two, be present in the moment. Like, whatever it takes, whether it takes meditating, whether it takes playing a sport, you really have to be present in the moment to be able to be a sports presenter. You should be able to understand कि मैं आपसे बात कर रही हूँ वहाँ पे क्या चल रहा है, किसी ने हाथ move किया, what is happening behind the camera. My eyes should be everywhere, and that's how you should become a sports presenter because then you can roll, sort of really bring out the feel. And one of the key things of becoming a presenter when you're doing live games is to be able to be comfortable with the in-ear. So what is an in-ear is, like I said, there are a couple of people giving you directions while you're trying to make sense of conversation. But along with that, when you're in a stadium which is like a Wankhede or the Eden Gardens or, Lords or MCG or whatever, there are 50,000 people out there who are sort of screaming at the top of the game and of their voice, and it's India versus Pakistan, it's India versus Sri Lanka. And while from one ear you can only hear them, and the second ear you have directors and producers talking to you, and then you're trying to make sense of a conversation. So it is a lot of elements, but you only learn it once you're in it. Yeah.
so as somebody who just started or who just want to get into it, what is that the first thing that you notice if you are not hosting an event? What is that something that you notice in a sports presenter, in a newer sports presenter?
As a new sports presenter, as someone who is just stepping in, that's actually a good question. So, one of the things I first noticed is the fact that the mind and body, or the way you train your mind, has to be very much similar to that of an athlete. Now, you can't get to an athlete level, but at least you can get to, say, 30% of it. I noticed that is that because the awareness level has to be so high for becoming a good sports presenter, you should be training your mind and keep that kind of discipline in you, which is close to an athlete's lifestyle, is what I noticed. So, eating, sleeping, having a certain discipline around it, engaging with with your language, whether it's English or Hindi or both or Marathi or Kannada or Tamil or whatever. So these things कि जब मैं स्पोर्ट के बारे में बात कर रही हूँ आपसे, मैं आपको बोल रही हूँ कि मार्टिन गप्टिल ने वो रन आउट किया धोनी का, उस टाइम मुझे ये नहीं सोचना कि अगला डायलॉग क्या बोलूँगी, बिकॉज मेरा हिंदी और इंग्लिश उतना परफेक्ट होना चाहिए, मेरी हिंदी और इंग्लिश उतनी परफेक्ट होनी चाहिए. सो दैट has to be taken care of. Your language should be so good. Your delivery skills should be so good. Where to take the pause, where to throw to the camera, all of that. कि अब हम idea के बारे में बात करें. So all of these things is what I noticed, that the discipline level to become a sports presenter comes very close to that of an athlete.
So that is something that we,
Yeah.
Again.
And I don't mean physical discipline.
Yeah,
it is just discipline in terms of like sort of your research, your knowledge of the sport, whatever. Yeah.
Also this is very very basic to for people watching this podcast. Okay, what is the major difference between a sports presenter versus somebody who's commentating on the sports?
Huge difference.
Yeah.
So sports presenting is it's not ball to ball. आप सार निकाल रहे हैं पूरे जो 3 घंटे का गेम हुआ है, या फिर अगर टेस्ट क्रिकेट है तो फिर उस दिन का जो हुआ है उसका आप सार निकाल रहे हैं आधे घंटे के कॉन्वर्सेशंस में. लेकिन उसके साथ साथ बहुत सारे स्पॉन्सर्स हैं जिसमें आप पैकेजेस पे थ्रो कर रहे हैं, सिक्सेस, फोर्स, कैचेस, विकेट्स, फिर कुछ कंट्रोवर्सी होगी उसके बारे में आप बात कर रहे हैं, और आपके साथ 3 गेस्ट हैं तो आप तीनों को केटर कर रहे हैं. जब आप कॉमेंट्री करते हैं इट्स बॉल टू बॉल, यानी उस वक्त क्या बीती है आप उसको नरेट कर रहे हैं, लेकिन साथ साथ द नॉलेज बेस ऑफ अ कॉमेंटेटर हैज टू बी सो गुड that you have to engage the audience in past, present and future of the storyline. So वो एक अलग ही skill set है. This is a different skill set. So very different. Also the knowledge base of a commentator is too much. It's too good. Yeah.
You just started commentating for chess.
I did, yeah. But see, listen, that is also a sport where I'm just starting off and my knowledge base is not that good. But I hope to become a very, very good chess commentator. So I have a coach, so let's see how far I get.
So will we see you playing in certain tournaments, local tournaments?
You know, I told someone मैं चाहे वर्सोवा का tournament क्यों ना खेलूं, मुझे chess का एक tournament खेलना है. So you will see me play some tournament for sure.
Will we see you as an IM like Tanya Sajdev?
Okay, no chance, no chance, no chance, no chance. That is like cracking a joke on myself. No chance.
No. But what is the role of Tanya Sajdev in in
Huge.
the-
She's became friends during the Olympics. She was actually hosting the international feed, and I approached her before that. I had just started playing chess, and I approached her saying that, hey, if I come to Delhi, if you could just get me introduced to the chess community in Delhi. And that's how conversation started. It never took off. But we met at the Olympics and we became friends over dinner. She used to actually look at some of my chess games. And then she invited me for the World Chess Championship, a few games. Picked it up, told her that I've gotten an opportunity to commentate. And she said, yeah, come watch games. And she's been very, very nice to me. Very kind.
So how was your experience at the Habitat studio?
Loved it. Loved every bit of it. It was so good to see Gukesh in action. And for anybody who thought that watching chess was boring, you should have been in Habitat because it was a lot of fun. He was there. It was a lot of fun. There was a live audience that we had. You also had like stand-up comedians, and it was just very engaging. So too much fun.
But did you ever thought ki it will take an hour to make a one move when you were playing chess?
I had seen a few games before,
Okay.
so I knew that is the kind of time that goes in. So yeah, I had an idea.
I was never expecting an R2 for a one move, at least.
But see, for that one move, so there's this book that Vishwanathan Anand's book, in which he says that take your time, take all the time to make that one move. So basically that book is on life lessons, it's mindset. So he says if you're planning to make that one move, take all the time in the world to make that one move. Because the rest 40 moves that you'll make will be way quicker than you had imagined. And that is exactly what we saw in chess. Even Ding was doing the exact same
Yes.
thing. For that one move, he took, say an hour, but next 20 moves came in less than 15 minutes.
Of course.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, again, I mean, what is that? As a child, I've seen Mandira Bedi on screen, right? Because she was the,
OG.
OG sports presenter. Mandira Bedi, then came Gaurav Chopra, and then now
Gaurav Kapoor.
Gaurav Kapoor,
Yeah.
sorry, Gaurav Kapoor, and now you. How has things evolved in the sports presenting, in the field of sports presenting? Like, is it more data driven today? Is it still more, sports, or how is it like?
I wouldn't know how it has evolved because at that time I wasn't into the
Yeah,
career
okay.
scene. But I think today the most important thing about sports presenting has been content. You should really know the sport.
Yeah.
When I came into sports presenting, all my producers, from Sony to Star to Geo, everybody said, Ridhima, beautiful girls are dime a dozen, but if you don't know the sport, you can't be here.
True.
So, the most focus today is on do you really know the sport? So, that has been, I think, the most prime focus. And I think that's how it's evolved, I would imagine. Yeah.
So, so this is knowing the sports is something that you will always say to the younger generation and everything.
Yeah.
Because again, if you are not even at that level, but understanding certain areas is a very much needed thing. With today's time, with data and everything happening, there is more sponsors, everything coming in. You need to make time for them as well. But with data, how do you manage to mellow down that data? Because again, Akash Chopra or Sunil Gavaskar explaining certain techniques or a data point, average and everything. How do you get to that relation with the audience? Like,
How do you sort of make the audience understand
understand
data?
understand data. Yeah.
Oh, well, in cricket is rather easy. Do you know what strike rate is?
Yes.
So then, I'm guessing you've
Yes.
not played cricket.
Yes.
Do you know what a batting average is?
Yes.
Do you know what a bowling average is?
Yes.
Do you know what economy is?
Yes.
Do you know what a bowling strike rate is?
Yes.
आपको आता है?
But
बहुत सारे लोग हर किसी को आता है. But मैं आपको बताती हूँ किसमें तकलीफ होती है. जब हम ओलंपिक्स कर रहे थे तो मनु भाकर,
Yeah.
suddenly shooting came into limelight and we were expecting a couple of medals there. Manu Bhakar got us 2. उसके जैसे डेटा पॉइंट्स हो गए कि आप कैसे मेजर करते हैं. वहाँ पे हम एक्सप्लेन करते हैं ऑडियंस को, और उसमें जो है प्रोड्यूसर का विजन होता है. एंड आई थिंक द ब्रॉडकास्टर्स डू अ वेरी गुड जॉब ऑफ इट, कि जब हम एक नया स्पोर्ट करते हैं, जब आप और मैं मिलकर अगर ओलंपिक्स होस्ट कर रहे हैं और उसमें बहुत सारे स्पोर्ट्स हैं जो नए हैं, सो द एंकर गोज लाइक so and so has happened, but we've got an expert here who will explain to you more in detail. और वो एक पैकेज बनता है.
Okay.
So जैसे हम जियो के लिए होस्ट कर रहे थे, तो जियो में एक सेगमेंट था कॉल्ड बिहाइंड द लेंस या एक्सपर्ट स्टेक या जो भी हो गया. सो उसमें हमने एक स्पेशल सेगमेंट रखा है टू एक्सप्लेन थिंग्स, क्योंकि हम भी जानते हैं कि ऑडियंस को शायद ये नहीं आता होगा. हमारे लिए भी नया है, हम तो यहाँ से इसके अंदर है, हमारे लिए भी नया है, तो ऑडियंस के लिए भी नया होगा. So we have that as broadcasters, all of us, like producers, directors, business leaders on the leadership position. Everybody has that IQ to understand what the audience may know, what the audience may not know, and we make our shows accordingly.
So broadcasters plays a very important role.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%, 100%. Yeah.
So again, also, if not sports presenting, what would your career look like?
If not sports presenting, my career. So I would have in my lifetime when I was growing up, I never ever imagined being a sports presenter. दूर तक मेरे radar में नहीं था. But if I was not a sports presenter, I would be a business leader. I would run a $1 billion league. I would run a $1 billion league. Yeah.
And have sports played?
Huh?
And have various sports played?
Yeah, I would have people play sports and make money out of it. Yeah.
In this journey of sports presenting, who has been your inspiration?
Mayanti Langa has been very inspiring. When I came into the in the career, when I actually came in to sort of become a sports presenter, Mayanti Langa has made a beautiful reputation for herself across sports, not just sports. I don't think I've met a single person who says anything against her. I really don't think, and more so not just because of the wonderful broadcaster she is, but more importantly, she has built a reputation around being one of the best to work with, and she has been very inspiring for me. Apart from commentators like Alan Wilkins, and then you also have Ian Bishop, Ian Smith, Harsha Bhogle, all of them. Yeah.
Harsha Bhogle, to anyways case, people admire him.
Yeah.
How does this journey look like, when you look back at that time when, you didn't sign up for that
Correct.
GMAT kind of a thing. You skipped that, and today when you look at that moment, how is it feeling for you?
Well, when you look back, and it will happen with anybody who has come a long way in their career or in their lives, or anybody who's lived a certain amount of life, when they look back, they'll always think कि यार जो नहीं हुआ ना वो अच्छा था.
हाँ.
जो गलतियाँ हुई वो अच्छी थी, उसकी वजह से हम यहाँ हैं. So when I was applying for my GMAT, and when I did not press that button to pay for my tuition fee at Penn State, and when the call came through, and when I went through with sports broadcasting, and when I look back to that night, I find it extremely serendipity. And today, having spent like 10 years into the career that I am in, I have come to a stage where I want to evolve. I want to try this and I want to try that, and I want to start a podcast, and I want to like I said, I want to start a $1 billion league of my own. But then I remember that night, because as a girl, like, I can plan a lot of things and I can think a lot of things that I want to do, but ultimately it will be his plan. So yeah, it is more so when I look at that night, it's very inspiring.
Also, from a sports presenter perspective, how do you see when there is certain patch, okay, of team not doing well, okay, because the reaction of the audience, right? So how do you try to bring that
Tone it down.
Yeah, how is that?
That is actually a very good question, is because as broadcasters, we always want to be for Team India. We play for Team India.
Yes,
We don't play against Team India across sports. Um, because that's how you are. As Indians, we are extremely patriotic as people, and when it comes to sports, we actually, there's not just cricket that we treat as a religion, if you truly ask me today. Even during the Olympics, whether we were being able to win, as many medals, we didn't win a gold this time at Paris, but even today, if you saw the genuine tonality of our broadcast, if you saw the genuine tonality of the people who were watching the sport, they were pro Team India. So, as presenters, we bring out what went wrong. We bring out questions like, as a presenter, I have asked Anju Bobby George and Viren Riskina that, over the last 4 years, we are today with 6 medals, but we don't have a gold.
Yeah.
What went wrong? Where are we lacking? You ask that, but you ask those questions to people who are actually involved in training athletes and bringing out the best with them. You don't go and ask an athlete that. It's because that athlete has already put in everything that he had. His parents have put in everything that he had. His coach has put in everything that he had. He's put in every blood and sweat. तो फिर कहाँ गलती रह गई? Why weren't we able to produce another Neeraj Chopra after the Tokyo Olympics? So these are questions that you probably ask people who are responsible for doing that rather than the athlete. And there's a way of asking a question, there is a way of asking, and there is a timing of asking that. So, as broadcasters, people, we are very sensitive towards that. We have to be extremely sensitive, not just to the audience, because the audience is like, why have we not won? But we also have to be sensitive to people who are putting in the effort because we can see it from close quarters. So, we have to play it in a very in a fashion where we empathize with both sides. Yeah.
Yeah. So, while I was trying to, while I was working with a broadcaster, okay, our aim for cricket was never, we knew that cricket as a sport only needs to be told that this is the time that it will start, okay. But when it comes to esports or some sports which is getting telecasted, or probably on OHS, Global Chess League, how does that tonality change from when you start the show, because you are not very sure ki how many people will be
Come and
tuning.
watch.
Yeah. So how does that change? Like,
Nothing. We present it like it is going to be like a sport that's going to take on the global stage. अब मैं आपसे सवाल पूछती हूँ. Say शाहरुख खान एक मूवी में
yeah,
versus राजकुमार राव एक मूवी में. राजकुमार राव भी बड़ा एक्टर है, बट शाहरुख खान बहुत बड़े एक्टर हो गए. जब आप मूवी बना रहे हैं और मूवी को प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, आप तो यही सोच के जाएंगे ना ये ब्लॉकबस्टर है. आप ये थोड़ी सोच के जाएंगे कि इसके लिए आएंगे कुछ 1.5 करोड़ लोग ये देखेंगे, सिर्फ इसको 50 लोग ले दो. आपके लिए हर चीज इज लाइक योर चाइल्ड, मैन. सो व्हेन यू आर स्टार्टिंग अ न्यू स्पोर्ट, you start it like it's going to be like cricket. Also, sometimes, kid you not, I was also hosting WWE. Sometimes the viewership of WWE was higher than some of the matches, some of the series that were happening where India was playing. So, ऐसा नहीं है कि when Aditi Ashok reached the 4th position at the Tokyo, kid you not, that was happening at 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. We had a surge in the viewership because India had a chance of winning a medal in golf.
Yeah.
So Indians love to win. It doesn't matter which sport. Really. From watching it from close quarters, Indians just love to win. Yeah.
So when, even in Women's Premier League, while I was doing my job, I was taking down those numbers and comparing with IPL, with other Indian Cricket League, we've seen that rise, okay. How do you think is women in other sports going to come up? Like, we all want to see that, like you said, you want that share of audience too also, but how do you see women in general picking up sports?
I see a huge surge because I'll tell you, of the 2 Olympics that I've hosted, our major medal prospects were women.
True.
If you remember, Mirabai Chanu opened our medal tally at the Tokyo Olympics in weightlifting. Manu Bhakar opened our medal tally at the Paris Olympics in shooting. Correct? From Lavlina Borgohain, PV Sindhu, count the number of medals that women have gotten you in the Olympics. You will see a surge there. A number of women who are participating at the Olympics and who have gotten the chance of winning a medal. I remember the Tokyo, our women's hockey team came very close to winning a medal. They finished 4th, and that would be really, really heartbreaking. But they finished 4th. Our women's hockey team did well. Women in general in shooting have done well. Women in what else? Boxing, Lavlina Borgohain. We also have Mary Kom, and in general there is a huge spur. There's weightlifting, then there, of course wrestling में लड़कियां, Vinesh Fogart came so close, agonizingly close. It was something that broke hearts and how. So if you truly ask me, women in general are really, really pushing themselves towards sports, but also see it is a vicious cycle. Parents also have to support that.
Yeah.
Relatives also have to support that. Coaches have to support that. Mentors have to support that. And I love the fact that India has started seeing value in it. And that's the reason why something like WPL has come up where, the franchises are being sold for 9,000 crores, 12,000 crores, and that kind of investment is being made. So it's good to see that. It's really good to see that, and that should happen for every sport. In hockey, we have a women's league coming. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So, Ridhima, I've always believed, with Mary Kom winning as a mother, and now Humpy winning as a mother, how do you see these things coming up? They have family actually supporting them. How do you see this growing? More and more family coming up to support their daughter, to support their wife, and like that.
When something like that happens, especially in a country like India where there are 1.4 billion people watching you, can you imagine the impact it has on the whole population? आप सोचिए, मैं एक ईट राइट इंडिया मूवमेंट गवर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव था जिसमें मैं एक शूट कर रही थी, a travel show around food. And I actually went to a village, a house in Hisar, and the girl said कि मैं खाना खाऊंगी मेरे भाई के खाने के बाद. अब सोचिए वहाँ उस घर में ये मैसेज पहुँचता है. Because these are the people you look up to.
Yeah.
It changes an entire generation of how they will bring up their daughters. It is very impactful to begin with, and in sports, more such stories should come out, is because sports का impact हमारे देश में बहुत ज़्यादा है और होना भी चाहिए in general. So this is how I see it, that these stories sort of change lives for people you don't even know. Yeah.
True. One last question, before you leave. What is that one message that you want to give it to the audience who wish to pursue a career in sports presenting?
In sports presenting especially, first of all, I would like to sort of, humbly give a message to all the parents. आपकी बेटी हो या बेटा, आप उन्हें स्पोर्ट्स ज़रूर खिलवाएं, क्योंकि दैट विल चेंज देयर पर्सपेक्टिव टू लाइफ. उनमें डिसिप्लिन आएगा, उनमें वैल्यू फॉर नॉट वेस्टिंग थिंग्स आएगा, कंपेटिटिव स्पिरिट जो होता है, गुड कंपेटिटिव स्पिरिट वो आएगा, कोलैबोरेटिव स्पिरिट आएगा, टीम स्पिरिट आएगा. वो हर एक चीज़ जो आप उन्हें सिखाना चाहते हैं लेकिन स्कूल से नहीं सिखा पाते, वो स्पोर्ट्स सिखाते हैं. नंबर 1. Number 2, if you're wanting to have a career in sports presenting and you haven't played a sport, please start watching it. It will change your life. It changed mine.
Thank you for being a wonderful guest.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you so much.